In the last movie, I talked about how InDesign can export a reflowable EPUB file, one that can reflow as you change the size of text or a page on an e-reader device. But InDesign can also create a fixed layout EPUB, which won't reflow. It'll always look just like your InDesign layout. Well, I should say pretty much like your layout. Some things may change, but InDesign tries to match it as closely as it can, given the restrictions of HTML and CSS, which is what EPUBs are made of. Now, the fixed layout EPUB format is not meant for most books, like that history of art document that I used in the last movie. Reflowable is usually much better for text-heavy documents. But fixed layout is great for things like this catalog, or a picture book, or children's books that are a bit of text over a large image. Let's try it out. I'll go up to the File menu and choose Export. But this time, I'm going to choose EPUB Fixed Layout instead of EPUB Reflowable. Then I'll click Save, and up comes the Fixed Layout Export Options dialog box. For now, I'm just going to skip over all the features inside this dialog box and just use the defaults, except for one thing. I don't really need all the pages in this document, so I'm going to change the page range to page 1 to 4, just so that it exports a little bit faster. Now, let's see what happens. I'll click OK, and InDesign starts to export my EPUB file. InDesign warns me that some of my InDesign formatting just won't work in the EPUB. In this case, I have some text that's been set to horizontally scale, and I also have a gradient applied to some text. InDesign can't replicate those things in the HTML, so it's just going to strip those out. Now I'll click OK, and InDesign finishes the export and then launches it in iBooks on my Mac. If you have an app on your computer that can read fixed layout EPUB files, it'll open automatically and show you the result. You'll see that this is almost identical to the InDesign file. Let's go ahead and hide InDesign. I'll go here and choose Hide Others. There we go. Now I'm not distracted by InDesign, and I can see that it looks just like my InDesign document. I'll move to the next page, and the next page, looking really good. Now, some things here don't work. For example, the buttons at the bottom of the screen, and these navigation hyperlinks. Those don't work in the EPUB, so next time I export my EPUB, I'll probably leave those out. As you can see, this is kind of similar to a PDF file, but there are some things that you can do with an EPUB that you cannot do with a PDF. For example, I could right-click on one of these words, or on an iPad or a tablet device, I would just press my finger down on it, and I'll choose Look Up, and it opens it up in the dictionary. So that's kind of neat. But the coolest difference between a PDF and an EPUB file is that you can distribute and even sell an EPUB in Apple's iBookstore. And for many people, that alone is enough to get them exporting fixed layout EPUBs. So this is just an introduction to the fixed layout EPUB format. But if you want to learn more, check out a title here in the online training library called Creating a Fixed Layout EPUB by Anne-Marie Concepcion.